Never seen a lame man walk, never heard a dumb man talk, never seen a blind man see. I promise you will change his name. Never seen a canceled debt, never seen all the poor get fed, never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you will change his name. And find a home. Never seen the weak find the strength.
Hey, everybody! It is time for the Big C, Bigger T podcast. I'm your boy, Bigger T, and I'm here as always for the 100th time with my man, Big C, Clint Clark. This is it. This is the big show.
This is the big
Number
show,
100, baby.
Man, and who would have thought we'd ever get here? Because let's just face it. When it comes to diets, working out, stuff like that, me and Bigger T have got a lot of quit in us.
That's right.
We have got a lot of quit in us.
That's right.
But man, to be 100, this is our 100th time. We've missed in 102 weeks of doing this, we've missed 2 episodes. One for Christmas, just the holidays got us, and the other was when Travis played Eskimo.
That's right.
And over there in southern Arkansas.
Southern Arkansas,
South Arkansas. So yeah, so other than that, pretty much, it's been a good run. Been a lot of fun. Now, whenever we first started, has it been anything like what you expected?
No, it hasn't. Just to kind of go back, some of y'all have been listening to us for a long time. Some of you maybe recently or whatever, but Clint and I, just to kind of tell the story again.
Yeah.
This was around the time of COVID, I guess, 2 years ago. And Clint and I were just talking on the phone one time. And we have a group of friends, Clint, you hear us talk about Robert Branscombe of Hometown Roofing, and Wesley Rowland, who's a principal over at Carlisle. And we've been buddies since high school. And a few years ago, we decided to start getting together on a regular basis, because we'd always stayed in touch pretty well, but
yeah,
it was kind of sporadic, I guess. And so we thought, we're all kind of, because Clint had lived in North Carolina for a while, and just different things were going on with everybody, and so we were like, let's just all get together in Little Rock or Conway, have dinner. So we started getting together, right? And that got us talking a little bit. And then me and Clint started talking, and I don't know, I can't remember, was it through Marco Polo or through
I think we got the Marco Polo when we were texting and stuff.
Yeah. And we were talking about, Clint had been watching a documentary. What was it?
It was on the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Mike Bender had done the documentary, and one of the episodes was on Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. And you can, the Joe Rogan podcast, controversial, whatever. Whatever you feel about that, I don't care. But it was on Joe Rogan. He had got kicked out of the Comedy Store, which is a fun episode. But apparently, he accused Carlos Mencia of stealing bits. Is one thing. But anyway, it started talking about podcasts, about how
we started talking about stand-up comedy.
Right. Well, no, because that's how it started. Because I'd gotten into that, and
I guess kind of we were in an age where, we're in our mid 40s, and of course 2 years ago we were, still starting, kind of starting our mid 40s.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of thinking about things that we'd never done before that we'd
Right.
like.
Do you think about your life? What if I would have went right instead of left?
Yeah.
What if I'd have went straight instead of backwards? What if I'd have done this? And I was like, man, you know, and I was telling you, I'm like, I think if I would have went to Hollywood and tried it as an actor / comedian and tried to focus on that, could I have done it?
Yeah.
I don't think I could have, because to be honest with you, the first time I struggled, I'd be like, Tom Sue, can I get a plane ticket back to Arkansas?
Yeah.
But but the way a lot of them comedians get their stuff out now, how they advertise that they're coming, is through podcast.
Yeah.
So me and you started talking about podcast, and it turned out you had thought about starting one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about starting one, and it just kind of morphed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at first.
And at the beginning, it really was going to be, we were going to talk sports, but we wasn't going to be a Razorback sports centric podcast.
No,
that's
not at
why
all.
Our name doesn't have anything about sports in it. To be honest with you, that's why the podcast name is, you know, the Big C Bigger T podcast, because we wanted to be able to talk about just anything. Okay. And
whatever
so
we wanted.
We wanted to, and I was kind of the same way with Clint. You know, I grew up, my heroes were, a lot of my heroes were Chris Farley and those guys from Saturday Night Live, you know, and that was one of the things I've always wondered was, you know, what if I would have went to Chicago and done the Second City thing, or gone to New York, or tried the improv route and stand-up comedy route or something like that. I've always, that kind of world has always, I've been enamored by that. Okay. And so that was kind of, that started our conversation. And so then we were thinking about a podcast would be a way to do some of those type of things, you know, and mainly what I was looking for, I think, for me personally, was just a creative outlet, a way to do some creative things and some to have fun and kind of reach out. And so we started the podcast, and at the beginning it was a little more of, you know, we did lists, like me and Clint were list people. Okay. And what our goal was to take me and Clint's normal conversations and record them, because that's a lot of what we had always done. If we went on a road trip and we were around each other very long, we were going to be making a list of something, wasn't we?
Oh,
I mean, it was going to be greatest rock band of all time, greatest rapper of all time,
greatest wrestlers. I mean, we would do list. I think one time at my house when we were kids, probably in our early 20s, we did the 100 greatest rock bands of all time.
Yeah.
Just 100.
Yeah.
Now, Travis, do you want to tell the people who we had at number one? Because you know, for the 12 people listening, they're like, I wonder who they had at number one.
Well, of course, CCR, baby.
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I was
a little biased.
No, we probably didn't have we probably didn't have a diverse.
Yeah.
The thinking wasn't as diverse as it is now.
That list may be a little different nowadays.
Yeah, it'd be. I guarantee it would be a lot different.
CCR would still be up there with me, but
they'd be up there. I can't say they'd be number one.
Yeah.
Who would you probably put number one if you had it to do over again? Just got on the spot. Talking, we're recording, so it's not live on the podcast. Who would you put number one?
Just for historical context and everything, I would probably move the Beatles there.
Yeah.
Even now, I wouldn't put them as my favorite, but they'd be close if it was my favorite. Yeah. But if I'm ranking the best ever, you got to take what the Beatles did historically.
Right. No. I mean, they changed the game. I mean, they did. They come over and they changed the game.
Anyway, so that was the kind of things. That was the kind of things we did, right? And then we came up with some other gimmicks. that I thought, I'll be honest with you, I still think some of the other gimmicks we came up with,
Oh, they were
I think they're
gold.
great. You know, one of the things we had was each week we did a guest, you know, future guests that we probably can't get. Okay. But that would fit our show. Okay.
Right.
So we wasn't going for, you know, like Clint's was, you know, we wasn't gonna get, you know, like Brad Pitt, right?
Right.
Clint
But
was like Judge Reinhold.
get Judge Reinhold.
And I reached out to him for this episode to try
Right, yeah.
because he's at the Repertory Theater right now doing a show, but they're doing it right. I mean, in the evening times when we normally record this, even though we're recording this in the afternoon.
I mean, we've had Barack Obama on the podcast. Why can't we get Judge Reinhold?
That's right, yeah. You know, we you know, and then my favorite though was the sponsors. You know,
We had some good ones.
yeah, we had some really good ones. Like I think one of your first one was the Dr. Topper. You know, that was the best of the Dr. Pepper Dr.
Man,
Pepper knockoffs.
I don't know because I haven't drank, and I'm not bragging here. So I'll get back on screen. I had an itch. Let me get back. Oh yeah, that's good. What like I haven't had a soda in probably 7-8 years. When I went on one of my last diets, I quit drinking soda, and honestly, I haven't tasted one. I've more than a sip. I haven't tasted one in years, and they are nasty to me now. So I just can't stand the taste of it. But I remember I used to drink a lot of soda, and man, and some of the knockoffs,
yeah,
are just downright bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one it was they sell at the Dollar General. It may be Dr. Topper.
Yeah.
He's the worst thing I've ever tasted.
Well, pretty much what we were saying was pretty much what you buy at Dollar General is what you get.
We
get
We're the Dollar General of podcasts.
We could get to sponsor our podcast.
Yeah.
My favorite one that I came up with, and I came up with it on the fly, was you know, because especially at that time, every podcast was being sponsored by a mattress company.
Yeah.
You know, you order a mattress and it comes like rolled up in a box. It's like memory foam, and you know, you lay it out and it fills up, and you got this wonderful, you know, couple $1,000 mattress or whatever. And so I said that, you know, I didn't know what company it is, but whatever company that does those egg crate things that you put on the top of a mattress, that's who's going to sponsor us or whatever.
What do you think is the perfect product to sponsor this podcast? Like, there's a product out there because you're valid. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but if you don't listen to, like, they're sponsored. A lot of them are sponsored by headphones, and like, you know, Joe Rogan's got supplements that sponsor him. What's the perfect sponsorship for us?
I've thought about this.
Okay, well, I'm happy you have. I had no idea.
I've thought about this. You know, the Arkansas Razorbacks have an official, you know, the official ham of the Razorbacks is what?
Petit Jean Meats.
Petit Jean Meats, right?
Petit.
So I think we're meat guys.
We are definitely meat guys.
We're meat guys, right?
Yeah.
So we really like Hormel meats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was one of the ones we said was like potted meat.
You had potted meats on yours, yeah, like potted meat.
But like Hormel does like Spam and you know, like Hormel chili. You know, Hormel chili's good. It's not wolf chili, but it's good. It's good canned chili. You know, so I think like Hormel, like if we had that company, that's the company that needs to sponsor us.
Yeah, I was thinking like beef jerky or something like that. You know,
yeah, some kind of beef jerky company,
like Old Trappers.
Oh man, yeah, that'd be good.
I mean, not Jack Links or the Bridgeford.
Yeah.
No, do you prefer Jack Links or do you prefer the Bridgeford?
I like the Bridgeford makes the Sweet Baby Rays.
Yeah, I like the Bridgeford better.
I like the Sweet Baby Rays. Yeah.
I like the texture of their beef jerky better.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. But I'm like you. I kind of like that old trapper type stuff better.
So can I ask
Especially
you,
if I'm like deer hunting or something where I
yeah.
can chew on it for a while. You know? The old
Now,
school.
can I ask you a question? And this is totally off topic, but you know what? This is our 100th episode. We're going to talk about what we want to talk about.
That's right.
Y'all going to sit there and let's do it, or you can tune us out. I don't care.
That's right.
I do. No, keep listening. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell all your friends.
That's right.
So we got the goat venture now, tinkering the goats. I'm like, okay, now I won't be that hard to make me a little pasture area out there. And I was thinking, like, because what my pawpaw used to do, you remember pawpaw?
I remember.
Pawpaw. So pawpaw, he would find like a calf that's been underfed that someone's just trying to get rid of, buy it for next to nothing, and then just feed it and take care of it. And next thing you know, he'd take it to the slaughterhouse and get it killed.
Yeah.
My wife says she can't eat it. I'm like, we'll do that. She would. Could you eat it if you'd raised it to hell?
If I knew I was going to do that from the beginning, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Can you do it?
Yeah.
See, I could do, like, it don't bother me. Like, I know, like, I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to go like, yep, that's my boy Jeff out there.
But I can see where for some people it would be difficult.
Yeah. But
I can see where for her it might be difficult.
Yeah, maybe I just grew up too country.
I think that's it, because we grew up country. Animals, although useful and helpful, and you do have them as pets at times, but they are, even like for my grandpa, he taught me dogs are a tool, and they're to either guard the house, or they're not just for sitting in your lap. And now my mom, they were totally different. That was totally different for her. But yeah, so I think some people are just wired different that way. But I could do that. And thank goodness there are people that can do that, because there's people that have to do that, right?
No, for sure.
Anyway,
go ahead.
So we've come up with over 100 episodes, our top 5 moments, and this was hard to do. Okay, this was hard to do for me because there's several.
Oh, goodness.
And we can talk about ones we leave out after we get through with this, okay? But we're going to do our top 5 moments from 100 episodes that we remember, what are our highlights that mean a lot to us. And some of them are going to be the same. Some of them are going to be a little different. So Clint, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is just simply episode 1, that me and you got on here and we just did this thing.
Yeah.
If you had told me, like, okay, you're going to interview a real good group of Razorback football players, that you're going to interview basketball players, baseball players, that you're going to do this, we had to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And every time any of them come on, they're like, oh my God, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
That we're able to, not only that we got started, and that I think we're both good at it. Mm-hmm. And I know I've got venture I'm looking at doing my own thing, and not getting rid of this, but I mean, we're branching out too. But we had to get started. Me and you had to take a leap of faith. I had to spend $20 whopping on a first logo.
Yeah.
We had to start somewhere, and we did it. We come up with a plan. We did it, and we've adapted through the years. And it's awesome to think about. But episode 1 is going to hold a special place in my heart. Always will.
Yeah, I agree with you. That ain't my number 5, but you said it well. My number 5 is the Village Academy episode. But
And-
I just think that was a very good episode.
yeah.
I think that's an episode that, to be honest with you, we probably need to tweet out more often so people hear that story more, just because that's such a cool story. That was a story that before that episode, I'd never heard. Well, I'd heard about it a couple weeks before that, but I'd been like, I took Gary Crowder, the coach that we interviewed that did the whole thing. I'd taken basketball coaching under the guy. I'd cheered on his girl teams at OBU, and I never knew about that. The whole time I was there, and I'm sad I didn't, because I would have got more stories about it. And to me, and then seeing you respond, because when we bring on people that each other didn't know, we're both kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, let's go. I mean, we're nice, but you know what I mean? Like, we're in that one, you were like, all right, whatever, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. I didn't really want to do it, and then it's like, oh my gosh, this is neat.
Yeah.
I think the next week, yeah,
it's just such a cool story. And so,
well, the next week we had interviewed Coach Ricono, and he's not on my list, even though that was a phenomenal interview that we had the internet keep going out, but we were telling him that story that we'd had Coach Crowder on the week before.
Yeah.
Like, how did he get caught? He was like, and that was just me and you telling the story, just me and you, to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, and the detail and how good it was.
And if you don't know that one, look it up. Best prank ever.
No, you did some PA announcing, and didn't you give some credit to Village Academy?
Well, no, I did radio.
Oh,
I was doing radio for the Beard and Bears football team, and at halftime we would do. I had a buddy that my actually youth pastor was doing the score. He would do scores. He'd look up on Fearless Friday. I would do some commentary, about the game, and then he would look up scores, and then we would have a segment where he would tell about other scores, whatever, and I would do Village Academy scores, and then one night I would have to call in to Rex Nelson's scoreboard show,
right,
and I had a kid from our team that had he had 4 sacks in one game, and I said, Rex, I haven't seen a kid play like this since the mighty what's that kid's name?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
the main player. They made up a main player for Village Academy, and I said his name for Village Academy back in the day, and Rex just died laughing because he knew. I read one of his articles to find out about that story.
right.
So anyway, it was hilarious. But and I don't know if anybody knew what I was doing with the Village Academy scores. They're like, why is he announcing Village Academy against? I'm making up like, Sacred Heart from Ruston, some school they're playing.
Right. See the level of just intelligence that it took to into that prank. We're like, okay, they can't play schools from Arkansas because then they'll know right away.
Yeah, that's right.
Play like schools right over the border in Louisiana. It was very, very well done.
That was just a fun one to do. So
and the fact that you picked Wally Hall just made me like it.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know
what's your number 4?
Oh, but I don't. All right. My number 4. Now, I know this is on your list and it's going to be so much higher, but meeting Oliver Miller.
Okay.
Just meeting Big O. I mean, and I won't talk too much about it, but dude, that was just unbelievable for me. And to see how excited you were, because I know how much you looked up to Oliver Miller. Because he got up to like change clothes. I'm like, oh, you can edit it out later because I don't care. It's Oliver Miller. It was just that was a fun experience. So
yeah. Well, that one is up my list, so I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to talk too much about it, because I can talk more about it later with you. So go ahead.
All right. Number 4 for me is is a recent one, and that's the Kamani Johnson interview. That was just a fun interview, and I felt like we've that's our latest big interview we've done, I guess.
Yep.
Wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And I feel like we're continuing to learn how to do those interviews and to keep it laid back. One of the things I tell these players, when I'm trying to get them to come on is look, it's going to be laid back, it's going to be fun, it's going to be lighthearted, and Kamani like texted me afterwards, and he was like, man, that was a blast, that was a lot of fun, things like that. And so to see his response to just spending some time with us, and to hear and as open as he was, you got to remember right now, the hottest thing going on right now is the talk about Nick Smith, right? When I was listening to it, I went to Little Rock today to a doctor's appointment, and on the way back, I'm listening to two different of the Buzz shows, and they're both talking about Nick Smith, how many minutes he gonna get against A&M, and all this different stuff. And Kamani, that was right after Kamani had tweeted out to back up, to have Nick Smith's back. And Kamani said, look, if Nick didn't want to play at Arkansas, then why did he come and skip a chance to go get a gold medal with Team USA and come and practice with us this summer? He gave us some interesting stuff, that you're not hearing on every, no one else is hearing that argument about why Nick Smith is still going to come back and play. Mm-hmm. And now he's proven it, And so I just enjoyed that interview. I think, and a lot of that's because of Kamani, but
man, it was a lot of fun. It really, really, there's no other way to put it. It was just a lot of fun. And he was easy to talk to. And, and what's funny is we interview these players, and you do more of the reaching out than I do in the communicating. But the fact that, we still check in on them and send them support, and they talk to us. And it's just real cool that, that we have that type of relationship with some of these players now.
Yeah. So, all right, what's your next one?
But number 3, I keep looking because I can't remember. But, Travis, I've always fancied myself a cesspool of useless information. I really am. And, but real talk, as you said this, like when we were going through school, through reputation or whatever, none of us ever got credit for how smart we really were.
No.
I mean, is the reality of the situation, kids get stereotyped. We were those kids that got stereotyped as something others. And you said probably more so me than everybody else, because I do remember going to a library club trip. Really, that's right. You boys, Big C and Bigger T, were in the library club.
We were both in the library club.
Why? I don't know. We just.
I tell you why I was, because we got to leave school for a day.
Leave school one day, and we got another picture in the yearbook. So it was 2 reasons.
True. Yeah.
But they wouldn't trust us to do the Battle of the Books. Like, they wouldn't let me compete. And I said, and they weren't hard questions. I'm like, I could compete it by myself without any teammates in one Battle of the Books. Yeah. So I'm a cesspool of useless information. So you were a Clergy Bowls participant on the bus. You didn't win.
No.
But you took me on in sports trivia, and you lost.
Yep, I lost.
Now, it was close. I think I ended up beating you by 1 question, maybe 2.
It's the story of my life, though. Close.
But then, like a month later, I took on a Clergy Bowl champion. And it was like that time that you took Old Yeller out back and they had to put him down. That's what I did to Robert Branscombe. I took Old Yeller out back and I put him down.
But they had the Clergy Bowl this week. You know what irks me about it? The time I won, I mean, I didn't win. The time I competed,
Yeah.
they asked us like 40 something questions, right? I missed 8.
Right.
The 2 guys, I finished 3rd. The 2 guys that finished in front of me missed 6. Okay. And then they had to do a tiebreaker. They were both older than I was. And one of them is a guy that like he's sort of like Pigskin Preacher. Like he was like on their show a lot, wrote songs for him, stuff like that. Well, when Robert won, dude, he missed like 10 to 15. My other buddy, Michael McDaniel, I think he missed like 12 or so. Now, they may have been tougher questions. I don't know. Okay. But, you know, anyway, it was just, I had a tough year. When I did it. And there was like 3 questions that I knew better, but the nerves got to me. But anyway, but to you, I do bow. You do beat me.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It was, I'd say it's luck, but no, it's just watching a lot of useless television. Yeah. And it's basically, you know, it's just basically that I'm just, you know, I'm a sports knowledge guy. I need to go to like one of them trivia nights one night and just see how I do.
Yeah.
Because I like watching Celebrity Jeopardy because it's dumbed down Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Because if I watch like a
what we need to do is we need to have a big C, bigger T table at one of those, and we could go team up.
There you go. We need to try it, because if I did real Jeopardy, I would probably finish with like one of them scores on Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL.
Yeah.
I could win Celebrity Jeopardy if I could buzz in.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they've really done it. But anyway, Travis, I'm sorry I've talked too much about my number 3, but then again, when it comes to getting one over on my boy Bigger T, how can I not? What's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 could have been number 1. These top 3, you can interchange them, okay? Yeah. But is the Michael Turner interview. That was our first current Razorback player that we had. Our buddy Mike Floyd had been talking to him through social media throughout the year, and called me up one day, said, "Hey man, what would you think about having Michael Turner on?" I was like, "On your podcast?" I'm like, "Man, I'd love to have Michael Turner on." And he said, "I've been talking to him and he's interested in doing your podcast." And he said, "But you got to talk to his agent." And Mike was like, "Dude, I'll cover it.
Yeah.
If it costs you." And I'm like, "Okay." He said, "Here's his agent. Give him a call." And so I called his agent dude, and his agent dude was, trying to get, as much money as he could, that kind of thing. So we were having these little talks or whatever. And his agent called Michael, and then he called me back and was like, "Well, Michael just wants to do it. He really wants to do it. And he's heard good things about y'all. So let's just make it happen."
Well, and the timing of this was too, they were busy. They were getting ready to go to Omaha.
This was after he had been the MVP of the regional in Oklahoma City. You remember that?
Yeah.
That huge Oklahoma State, in Oklahoma State, right? That huge, series there. He's the MVP of it, right? So, this is after the rent-a-player comment by Northwest Arkansas guy.
The greatest NIL of all time was the rental company doing an NIL.
Oh, yeah.
It's Michael Turner. I don't even know which rental company that is, but if you need to do rent-to-own furniture, you go see them, because that's how good that was.
And And all of a sudden, he's actually, through our buddy Mike Floyd, my good friend Mike Floyd, man, he's wanting to be on our show, and of course we're paying him a little bit, thanks to Mike. And then when we have him on, it was just fun talking to him, man.
And he had fun talking to us.
He had fun talking to us. We stayed in contact with him throughout Mike Floyd stayed in contact with him still. Like, he's still in contact with him.
By the way, the Michael Turner interview was my number 2. So we can go ahead and just keep talking about that a little longer, because what was cool to me about that entire interview was that we didn't just talk Michael Turner. Of course, we talked about Michael Turner's life, Kent State, how he had really never played catcher before, and then he got there. But there was stuff we talked about on the podcast that they really hadn't talked about. And then we were watching them the road to Omaha. And then you start hearing them talk about, how he calls the game. And then, like, they hadn't really talked about that, because I asked, hey, do you call the game, or they do? And how much pride you take in pictures for him? So he's like, I take a lot of pride in it, and I call the game. And had psychology like, okay, the first time through the lineup, I'm going to throw to my pitcher's strength. Like, I know this guy may hit the curveball good, but can he hit Connor's curveball?
Yeah.
And so his school of thought on that, and he did a good job handling that.
Well, and to me, that even makes it more interesting this year when Arkansas is trying to replace him. It makes me understand what Van Horn's going through as he's trying to figure out which of these other couple catchers he's brought in are going to replace Turner. You know what I mean? So he's not only looking for a guy that, has a decent bat and can play, can catch the ball well, but he's looking for someone that can call a game well and can get on the same page with the pitchers. And so you're right. That insight he was giving us, it helped me understand baseball better.
Right. Yeah. No, because we've had like 2 really good baseball interviews, and it's not on my list, but it could very easily be, because even Coach Jordan, we had Coach Dave Jordan on. I learned a lot about the game of baseball.
Yeah.
Just talking to him, and then, like listening to say things, it's called pitching, not throwing.
Yeah.
How many times he probably said that, like yelled that at a kid?
Yeah.
Called pitching, not throwing. I'm like, yeah, I know coach speak when I see it. That's why I asked him. As soon as he said, I'm like, how many times you said that? He goes, thousands of times.
Well, the Michael Turner one. So it was your number 2?
It was my number 2, and I specifically put, because like I said, we hadn't heard him talk about it. And then we talked about on this podcast. The next thing you know, you're watching the Hogs in Omaha.
Yeah.
And by the way,
my number 2 then is this one's going back. This is one of our earlier episodes.
Okay.
It's when you brought Coach Buckner to your house. And we interviewed our high school football coach on
Was that episode 3 or 4? Like, it was early.
I think so. I think it was like 4.
Yeah.
It was early on, but yeah, he didn't know how to do it at his house, so he just went over to Clint's house.
Right.
And sat in his office with him.
That's like 2 houses ago too,
Yeah. And that was just so cool to hear him. When he talked about things that, he said he wished he would have done different.
Yeah.
Things that and then we were able to sit here and tell him to his face how much he meant to us and how much of an impact he had on us. And, there's a lot of people in your life that you don't get to do that with.
Right. Yeah.
You may never get a chance. There's people that will never get a chance to tell them that they made an impact on us and that they mattered, or made us feel like we mattered. And we got to do that with him. And so that was just for me personally. It may not be the most entertaining episode of all. It may not be one that anybody else goes back and watches or anything like that. But for me personally, I'm glad it lives forever on YouTube because it meant a lot to me to be able to do that. And so that one definitely.
Oh no, that was a really really good one. And Coach Buckner had a flip phone.
Yeah.
So like he could like he still has a flip phone.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think I know what your number one is.
yeah, for sure. So speaking of football coaches,
Yeah.
mentors and all that, you'll probably be hard pressed to find a man, that's had a big impact on my life as the former head coach, former athletic director of Arkansas Tech University, Steve Mullins.
Yeah.
The Steve Mullins interview was just fun to me. To be able to, like you said, even when Coach Buckner, to go back, tell him thank you, and just interview the people, hearing his journey, how he started off, in college, hearing his playing days stories, and how he came up through the rank, and how he coached with Coach Ogeron.
Yeah.
And and how he came to Arkansas Tech, and his first thoughts when he got there about how he's like, well, crap. And to hear Racono kind of reinforce that, we're like, the coaching staff that was there made it sound like they had All-Americans at every position.
Yeah.
And then we got there, like they did not have All-Americans at every position. And one of my favorite things about that was Jumbo calling me later on, like, does anybody can remember I couldn't make it through tires?
Yeah. Yeah.
But to follow up that, and we followed up, that Coach Mullins was, at the end of the day, he's an offensive line coach. He's a lot like Sam Pittman. He's to his core, he is an offensive line coach, is what he is, and that's what he loves. And Coach Racono said that's what made him want the offensive coordinator job at Arkansas Tech, was that he thought, and still does, that Steve Mullins is the best offensive line coach in the country.
Yeah.
And that he said he coached, and he felt like Coach Mullins kind of coached himself out of a job, going to more of a CEO role and not coaching the offensive line himself. But who knows? But man, the amount of feedback I got from old teammates and stuff about that was just unbelievable. It's one of our most watched YouTube. I'm not sure how it's done on downloads and stuff, but it has been. That was a really, really good podcast for me. He watches film of Jumbo's son and offers him pointers, sees what he can do. And I was able a couple weeks ago, as you know, to have lunch with him. We talked about, told him that was going to be his payment for coming on the podcast. I'd buy him lunch one day.
Yeah.
We just met, and it was such a good time. I mean, he talked to me about life, and offered me advice on some stuff I was going through. And so it was a lot of fun that you can see, like, okay, he cares about Clint the person. And he was telling me, he goes, Clint, I've coached with, he goes, I got people they've coached under me all over the country. He goes, I get offered tickets to games all the time. He goes, but the problem is, if I go to that game, I'm locked into that game. If I'm at home, I can watch 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what he loves. And it was nice to remind, like, at the end of the day, that man loves football.
Yeah.
And he loves the game, and he gets it. And so, Travis, I have a feeling I also know what your number one is, and I mentioned it way further down.
Yeah, yours was a little further down, but mine was the Big O interview, man. The first Big O interview, and the chances we've had to have him since. Oliver Miller, like we've said before, our fandom as Razorbacks started a lot because, we were becoming fans of Razorbacks and football and basketball and all these different things. We're starting to pay attention to that. But the Razorbacks were good.
Yeah.
It's early 90s because Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, and Oliver Miller. And, of course, Oliver Miller was the big guy, right? And I was the big guy. You were the big guy. That was the, you know, when we get on the basketball court, you know, we were the Oliver Miller, and you know, I loved watching him play. Man, I loved watching him pass. I loved watching him block shots and all the things that he did. The soft touch he had around the rim with the shot, and so you know, we're sitting here, we're getting ready to record one day, and you know, I'd gotten home from work, and I'm sitting in my recliner, and I'm looking on Twitter, and you know, I followed him on Twitter, and all of a sudden I see he says, "Hey, I got some free time. Anybody have any basketball or Razorback questions?" And I think he was quarantined at the time.
He's quarantined. He had COVID. Not.
COVID.
Well, I didn't think really he wasn't sick. He was
No,
asymptomatic.
he tested positive or whatever. Yeah. So I sent him a message. I said, "Hey man, I'm in Arkansas, got a little podcast. We're about to record tonight. We'd love to have you on here in a couple hours." And he's like, "Sure, let's do it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Holy cow!" You know, I called you. I said, "You're not going to jiu-jitsu tonight, dude. You're coming. You know, you're going to record." And so anyway, next thing I know, a couple hours later, we're on here with Oliver Miller, man, and he's telling us stories, you know, that we'd never heard before. He's telling us, you know, and he's enjoying it, you know, and he's you know, and afterwards he's like, we got, you know, we mentioned a few people, you know, and we were getting tweets from, you know, we got retweeted by Mark West, the old NBA player that was the starting center when he went to Phoenix his rookie year. He was the starting center. Big O got a lot of playing time, you know, in front of him, but you know, Mark West like watched our podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and then Big O was like, "You need to have me come on. Let's talk football." So he come on and we did a football prediction show. You know, we've had him one other time. I mean, it's just surreal, man, that Big O even knows who we are.
Yeah.
And the fact of just by go back 2 years ago, we just did this to be creative, have a creative outlet,
Yeah.
and to have some fun with my best friend, right?
Right, because we always said, like, look, we only have 20 people watch this and download. Who cares? It just
and here's the other thing. At that time, all this is happening at once.
Mhm.
We have Big O on. Right after that's when we had Michael Turner.
Yeah.
And about that time, I'm starting to make contacts. I'm starting to learn how to make contacts with some of these players. Like I remember calling you one day and saying, "Dude, we just had Big O on. We're about to have Michael Turner on. And I just got off the phone with Bumper Pool's dad."
Right.
Okay. So what life is this?
Right. It's crazy.
That I'm spend an hour on a computer talking live to one of my heroes.
Right.
I got the hottest baseball player in Razorback baseball right now fixing to come on and talk to us, and one of the best linebackers to ever suited up for the Razorbacks,
All-time leading tackler,
is what, you know, at that point, you know, I'm talking to his dad, and we were hoping to get him on. We were real close to getting him on, but his dad told me, he said, "Yeah, we can probably make this work out." We never made it work out, but
yeah. And I remember you calling me one day and being like, "Hey, we've got a problem, but it's a good problem." And I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "We've got Luke Jones on the podcast this week, and well, I just got a message back from Landon Jackson."
Yeah.
So we had Luke Jones and Landon Jackson back to back.
Yeah, dude. I mean, but it all started, a lot of that started with, you know, us getting Oliver Miller gave Mike the idea for the Michael Turner thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, Mike was like, well, man, that was pretty cool. I got this connection with Michael Turner. Maybe that could work out. And then, it just, that started so much for us. And I'm so thankful.
It really did. And watching and the Razorbacks were playing baseball at the same time, because what we learned about Oliver Miller is more than anything else, the man loves the Razorbacks. He is a great ambassador for Arkansas, that he loves that team. Like he goes, oh man. But you're right. We busted our chops as an interview, or cut our teeth interviewing Oliver Miller. We did it. Obviously, we had interviewed like Coach Buckner and stuff like that. But I think, Danny Drain, and I'm brain farting on his name, the guy that played for Missouri State.
Deion Holloman.
So we'd had a few interviews.
That was another great interview.
That was a great interview. And
that's one of those I wish people would go back and see too.
Yeah. But really, you started seeing it with Oliver Miller, it going to another level with the interviews. And it's been so much fun, because every one of them has been just quality. And we've got more coming up. We got some lined up. And so I'm excited about it.
And we can say it, right now, if everything stays the way it's supposed to, next week we're going to have Brady Tigert, pitcher for the Razorbacks.
Really excited about that one.
Reached out to him, and he's good to go. And so hopefully we'll have that. It should come out next Tuesday, or Monday evening, Tuesday.
Yeah.
But like I said, it all started there. But there's so much more we could say. So many more highlights. One thing we've gotten to get some of our friends on here through the Pick'ems. We've had like Wes and Robert on here. We've had just some of our other buddies, different people. You've had some of your jiu-jitsu friends that we've interviewed. You got you got Jumbo on here. You got just some fun folks, man. Just some fun, fun stuff. And it's been a lot of fun, Clint. And that's the main thing. It's been
it has. We've done 100 of these. We've done over 100 when you count. We've done a few supplementals, but this is 100 just regular. This is our podcast. And it hasn't gotten old to me. Like it's still fun to come on here and do this.
Yeah. I still look forward to it every week.
Yeah. And so it's been a blast. It's been fun, and we hope you have fun listening to us. And we hope that the guys, we can continue to interview, and hopefully, I'd love to have a women's softball player or basketball player on at some point. I think, I enjoy hearing these athlete stories, like, how they grew up different. Jordan Dominic and, Landon Jackson was pretty much.
That's another one. Jordan Dominic, Landon Jackson, those interviews were spectacular too.
Chris Pupal, Luke Jones, Reed Bauer is one of the coolest guys you ever. And hopefully I haven't forgot. I think that's all the football players we've had on.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those guys were.
Yeah, all those guys, but they were everyone just a quality interview, and they all got a bigger T-shirt, which is very important to them, and I'm sure they hold it near and dear to their heart. It's prized possession, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So Travis, I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
You've asked me this question a gajillion times.
Okay.
And what are you watching?
Well, I'm actually taking a page from you.
Okay.
The new season of Next Level Chef.
Oh, I watched that.
I know you're a Gordon Ramsay guy.
I'm a Gordon Ramsay guy.
And I watched the last season of it not long ago. just
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. And so I watched the new one that came out just the other day after the Super Bowl or whatever. And then I've also my kind of I usually have something that's kind of the noise breaker that I watch, kind of just throw on all the time. I'm going back to Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah. I'm going back through that. So I'm I think I'm on season 2 now.
Yeah.
Well into season 2, maybe season 3. Anyway, but so anyway, what are you watching?
Man, I binge watched that 90 show twice already.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed that 90 show. It is because like I told you, Tom Clark is Red Foreman.
Yeah.
And then my wife told me, you're pretty much Red Foreman too.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to take. I didn't think I was that grumpy, but apparently I am.
Apparently. Yeah.
Apparently. And I did watch Next Level Chef. I finished this season of Hell's Kitchen. So that was good. They're playing for the prize of being the head chef at Hell's Kitchen in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which I don't know if you could pay me enough money to live in New Jersey. I'd probably just say, hey, thanks, I want a prize.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not living here. You
That's
can't.
right.
It's not worth $250,000 to live in New Jersey.
That's right.
Yeah, so I've been watched that. And me and you talked about it because I know we both watched it. I'm caught up on the new Night Court.
Yeah, I need to go
Not
back.
bad.
I need to get caught up on it.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, it's not bad. I enjoy it. It's actually, I think it's a quality program.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was going to be awful. I watched the first episode, going, I'm going to hate this.
Yeah.
I'm going to hate this, and it's not bad.
Good.
Not bad.
Well, the Hogs are taking on A&M. How do you feel about this game?
It's
at A&M.
It is. I was listening to Joe Lenardi on the Buzz the other day, and what he thinks is he thinks Arkansas is going to go 3-3. Going to lose the 3 road games, win the 3 home games, and he said they do that, they're probably a 9 seed. They need this one for seeding purposes. This is one of their more. I know one of the road games is out of Alabama. I don't know the other one off the top of my head. Maybe Alabama, Tennessee, and A&M on the road, which is.
I like us even though those are probably better teams. I like us winning those games more than I like us winning tonight against A&M.
Yeah,
because I think A&M feels like that they didn't give us their whole effort.
Yeah.
When we beat them at home. That was that game they had travel problems. They had to like take a bus from Tulsa or something, and so I think A&M's wanting revenge for that game, and so we'll see. We'll see. A lot of it's going to depend on how well. Well, it's all going to depend on from here on out. It's all going to depend on how well Arkansas shoots.
Yeah.
Because teams are going to play the zone against us. And it's going to depend on can we make shots, because they're going to leave us open for shots. They're going to dare us to be. That's what Mississippi State did. Mississippi State dared us to shoot our way out of the game, and we couldn't do it. We went 4 for or whatever it was. Hit 4 of 18 or something like that. They're going to dare us, and so and Texas A&M will do similar. Texas A&M was a lot like Mississippi State, and so if we can't make shots, but if Nick Smith is going to get his touch, he's going to get his feel, and if he can, we could have a chance, because our team could come in and say, "Hey, we're not the same team."
Well, yeah, and that's what Lenardi said. He goes, even if Arkansas is a 9 seed, obviously they can beat anybody in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, we
You just
can't.
want to stay away from that 8-9 seed
Yeah.
if you can, because you don't want to play number 1 in the second round.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. So, well, guys, listen, folks. One of the best things about this, we had our list of our 5 things, each of us, but I think Clint and I both would probably say our favorite thing is when people tell us, "Hey, man, been listening to your podcast. It's really good," or "really enjoying the podcast," or "enjoyed the podcast the other day," or because first of all, the fact that you take time to listen to us means a lot. It really does. I'm not just saying that. Not, that's the truth. It does mean a lot. And we want you to like and share selfishly to let other people know about this. But we're so thankful for those of y'all that listen and watch. I do want to say, Clint, one of the guys that I've told you about him before, a friend of mine, Michael McDaniel. He
Yeah.
listens to us all the time. His dad passed away from leukemia the other day. His dad was 82 years old, a longtime preacher in Brinkley. His dad, up until he got the leukemia, was still playing basketball.
Oh, wow.
And still could outplay any of us, shooting threes like a beast. Okay. In fact, Steve Sullivan did some stories on him, because he's like this old man that's, holding court at the Brinkley, First Baptist gym.
Right. Yeah.
Taking on all comers. Okay. So he was an impressive man and lived a good life and had a big impact on people. So, just want to say that Michael's a guy that's he downloads it on his Apple podcast and listens to us every week. And so I want to say that to him, praying for you, brother, and praying for comfort and peace for him and his family.
Yeah.
But folks, 100's in the bag.
Yeah, I was gonna say 100's in the can. You brought us
In the
down
can.
there, but I'm like, yeah, 100's in the can.
It's in the can. It's done. We're thankful, so thankful for y'all. We're keeping rolling. Next week, be on the lookout for Brady Tiger, as long as everything works out.
101, baby.
That'll be 101, starting that second century.
Yeah.
Here we go. You ready for another 100?
Let's do it, man. Let's get to
All right.
200.
Let's do this thing.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great week. Be awesome. Peace.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come.
Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard drive so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work.